Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the operator meeting today. My name is Hannah Hickam, and I will be your host. You can feel free to put questions in the chat throughout, but we'll take those at the end of all of the presentations. First up, I believe we have Sabrina with an announcement.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Hannah, can you hear me okay?
I can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sabrina Trask, the Planning and Permitting Manager. I just want to take a couple of quick announcements. Hopefully you're already aware, but I just wanted to confirm with everybody. The OGLA team is super excited to announce that we have 3 new OGLAs on board as of last week. You may know Amanda Petzold. We've also got Derek Timmerman and Kevin Fletcher. They all started last week, and we're just super grateful and excited that they're here with us. They have already started attending some meetings with various operators and local governments. So if you see any of them in a meeting and you haven't met them yet, please introduce yourself. Welcome them to the COGCC. We still do have 3 remaining vacancies on our team, and we're looking at different options to fill those vacancies in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. And then another quick announcement, hopefully you've noticed on our website from about 3 weeks ago, we posted a notice describing that the OGLA team, the entire OGLA team is going to be in an internal training all of next week in the Denver office. So May 15th through 19th, we're not going to be available, generally speaking, for really anything. We're going to be in a very intensive training, basically from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So not answering the phone, not responding to emails, not taking any meetings. And for total transparency, not processing any forms or applications. So hopefully you saw our message on the website a couple of weeks ago, and you've adjusted any of your urgent OGLA needs, because we're not going to be available next week. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that. We will be certainly returning phone calls and emails and getting right back to work the following Monday. So that's all I have. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you, Sabrina. First up, we have outdated Form 4 sundry notices, and presenting that is Ginger Malashowskis. Just give me a moment to queue that up. Ginger, you can check your mic while I'm doing that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, and you can take it away.
Hi, I'm Ginger Malashowskis. I'm in the permitting completion group, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the outdated Form 4s that are kind of stuck in our system right now. Next slide, Hannah. Just a little overview. They are in an outdated system. I'm going to show you where to find the list of the old forms, and you will either need to provide a list of forms that you want deleted, or these need to be resubmitted. All the old forms are going to be deleted on May 31st. Next slide, please. So these forms were submitted between 2003 and 2013 as either paper copy or electronic format and are no longer supported. We can see them on our side, but we can't process them or return them or anything. They're just going to have to be deleted. Some of these forms on your side, you are not going to be able to see either. So if that's the case, you'll have to give me a list and I'll send you PDFs of them. Next slide, please. On our website, under the news and notices, you'll see the link. And next slide, please. If you click on that, it'll bring up a PDF of the spreadsheet with all of those forms on there. Next slide, please. As I explained, they will either need to be replaced or deleted. And you know, if it goes into a non-compliance, then it could be referred to the enforcement group. Any questions about these, please send me an email and I will help as much as I can. Next slide, please. And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ginger. Next up, Upland Final Reclamation drone documentation and guidance, and that's with Chris Finches. Chris, you can unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
All right. Okay, yeah, let me introduce myself. Chris Benches. I'm one of the three Northeastern Reclamation Specialists. I've been here with the agency coming up on 8 years now, and I've been appointed as the drone lead for the environmental unit. So real quick on those Northeast Reclamation Specialists, we do have 3 now. So we have Dylan Edwardson up in the Northeastern region, and then we have Reed Wold now taking over Southwell County all the way down to Elbert, which includes Adams and Arapahoe counties. So please check out our staff areas of responsibility map for more details. Okay, so I hope everyone is as excited as me to get this going. The much anticipated opportunity for the industry is here, and that is to allow operators to submit drone imagery for cropland locations to document final reclamation success. If an operator can document and submit the required information, the intent is for the reclamation group to pass final reclamation for cropland locations from the desktop. Now, it sounds easy, but it's not going to be as easy as just submitting drone imagery. There's going to be a lot of information required. We're just leveraging drone technology and staff resources. Now, we started our drone program back in 2018, so we've had almost 5 years to work with this technology and build our program. So our program is continuing to grow, and we've created a position dedicated for this. So I want to give a shout out to Adam Creech for being our drone coordinator for our agency. That being said, will COGCC still conduct cropland field inspections? Yes. Will COGCC still use the original or old school method of a handheld camera for cropland field inspections? Yes. Not all of our staff have a Part 107 drone license. Will COGCC conduct cropland field inspections using the drone? Yes. We'll continue to do this. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. So this is not a requirement. Not every operator will participate. This is simply just a potential opportunity for operators. But if an operator wants to participate in this opportunity, there will be a required training, which will have the option of in-person or virtual. The required training is essential so that we're all on the same page, and really there's going to be a lot to go over with this guidance. I don't have all the details lined out just yet about the requirements of the required training, but I'm hoping to have this guidance rolled out by the end of the month, then the in-person or virtual required training first part of June. So I still have a lot of milestones to hit before this gets rolled out, so there could be some delays. So please be patient, but know that it is gonna happen. In 2022, the top 2 crops harvested in Colorado were wheat and corn. Corn doesn't get harvested for silage until September, and for grain, not until October and goes until November. So I anticipate us rolling out this guidance well before that, so there's going to be a huge opportunity for this year. And to just scratch the surface about this guidance and how it's structured, it's really the stepping stone, and it starts with the basics. And it's designed that way really for one main reason. It's about the equipment we have. This has to be repeatable. We can't put together some advanced process that we can't do because we don't have the drone technology. We will be performing audits. So again, it has to be repeatable. We have what's called a standard camera. So it measures red, blue, green wavelengths. So we have the RGB sensor. This is the visible spectrum that we all see as humans. I understand that there are plant health algorithms for RGB cameras, like the VARI algorithm, but we don't like it. It's not true plant health. It's just a greenness index. So currently, the drone imagery that we're going to be using is simply another means of a visual observation. is the crop growth in the reclamation areas reflective of reference crop areas? You know, we've all been out there in the back of our work trucks, jumping up on the back of the toolbox to get that best advantage point. You know, so the drone has really helped us aid in our inspections, and especially when that corn, you know, gets 8 feet tall. Will there be advancements to this guidance in the future? I would say certainly. I mean, the technology is already there. We just don't have the equipment yet. So we're taking baby steps and we'll go from here. There's going to be a lot to learn from this process and how we can make it work. You know, we're starting with cropland, and that's going to be the focus for a few years to see how this all works out. Will there be an opportunity to use drones for non-crop rangeland? Maybe, but I can't say it's, you know, anything that's going to happen right away. And just, you know, wrap this up here, you know, as drone lead, I've been tasked to put this guidance together. This guidance has been a collaborative process, and I've been working with a few operators who I want to acknowledge. So I have to thank Chevron and Oxy for their participation and help, which is ongoing. So thank you again. You know, I've gotten a lot of recent inquiries on whether or not this opportunity was going to happen, or if so, when. So hopefully I've answered those questions. You know, keep an eye out on our website for updates. I'm sure I'll be reaching out to Hannah for some help to send out some notifications as well. So stay tuned and more to come. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Chris. Next up, we have Enhanced OGDP Completeness and Review Process presented by Ben Frizzell. And Ben, can you check your mic real quick?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, thank you very much.
Great. Good morning. My name is Ben Frizzell. I am one of the OGLA supervisors. I've only been with the department for about 4 months. So if you don't know me, hello. And if we've met before, good to see you again. What we're going to talk about today is this enhanced completeness and review process. Some of you may remember at the last operator meeting, Sabrina went over the change in our completeness review process and some of the reasons behind that change, including many of the benefits. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the process flow of your application. And again, this is more of a high-level overview of the process. So there may be some details that are not captured as part of this presentation. So just be aware of that. And again, questions can go in the chat, and we'll hope to hopefully answer those later on. Next slide, Hannah. So just want a reminder, provide a reminder that we're looking at this process as a one and done process. This is the technical and review as well. And we're trying to catch everything in one comprehensive review. This allows you to make all necessary corrections at one time. We're trying to minimize that back and forth. We're trying to get more streamlined, simplified, and consistent process. And also increase some of that responsibility on the applicant for your application. Again, this is just kind of the general overview. Next slide, Hannah. So this is a bit more of what we'll be talking about today, this general process overview. And as you can see here, it goes from the pre-application to the submittal, to our review, to determination, and then the final agency decision. And next slide. So these pre-application consultations, there's really no change here, but we did want to highlight a few items here. You still have to perform your relevant local government or federal agency consultations and provide notification. However, what we'd like to highlight here is for those sites outside of unincorporated Weld County, we do recommend a pre-application with our team. And how that would work would be the operator can request via an email a pre-application meeting, and we will send you a form. Once you complete the form and send it back, we will set up a meeting and we'll send out those invites to you, CPW, CDPHE, and other relevant parties. And then finally, after the meeting's finished, we will draft our meeting summary and send that out to everyone. For any questions about this or for that form, you can contact me. My email is there at the bottom, but I'd be happy to provide that later as well. Next slide, Hannah. So again, here's your initial submittal. No real changes to this current process. The general process, you'll submit your hearing application, which is also reviewed by permanent engineering. You get your docket number and your hearing officer, and then you'll submit the required forms, that 2A, 2B, and 2C. We do want to make that reminder that the 2C is your certification that all the required application components have been submitted. And again, we won't start any review until we do have all those submitted. This is your application. Just be mindful to try to perform that QA/QC to the best of your ability, and that will really help with that processing time of that application if everything's nice and tight. Next slide. All right, so here's our review once we get everything. The completeness and technical will be done as one review, as we've already stated. Again, that goal is at one and done, and we really want to kind of harp on that a little bit more. That's the overall goal of this enhanced process. We really like to identify all those issues. In doing so, it may take a little longer than you're used to for that completeness review. But remember, this is completeness and technical review, and we will still work to meet a timely manner on these reviews. So we're still working at that, but it may take a little longer on the front side than what you've been used to. Again, after the OGLA has completed the review, we'll be passing it on to our senior staff for that final review. And Hannah, there you go. So continued. So all of our issues that we'll identify will be done on a spreadsheet. You're fairly familiar with some of this. There's a few tweaks to it, which we'll go over. Nothing crazy, but a little bit new look to it. We'll identify those issues found across the form 2A, B, and C in the hearing application. And then again, that spreadsheet's similar, but with some improvements. Those issues that will be identified will hopefully be in a concise manner. We'll have some real citations as needed, and then you'll have a chance, it'll get returned to you, and a chance for you to really look at this and provide comment back. In this, when we do this, we'll return some of those forms back to draft and web forms, and if necessary, that hearing application will be returned to applicant issue resolution and e-filings. We would like to state that, again, these are two separate systems, and we just want to highlight that again. These are two different ones, so you might need to, again, if they both get returned, meaning your forms and the hearing app, you might need to go in the two different systems for corrections. And next slide, Hannah. All right, so this is just a quick screenshot of how our spreadsheet might look, and it again will highlight that applicant response section in the blue. Hopefully, we'll identify that issue, the rule if warranted, and then you'll have a chance to really comment there and really identify your response for each individual issue. All right, and next slide. All right, so your resubmittals. We'll identify those issues, and based on those, you'll have the ability to address and fix those noted issues. Again, not too much of a change here. You still have the 90 days to respond. For very specific reasons and complexities, things like a variance, we may consult with you after this, but that's not going to be the norm. We want to make sure that you're aware of that as well. Again, we would like you in the spreadsheet to fill out the applicant response section for each issue and make sure that you identify what you will be doing, what you have been doing, anything to make sure that we have a full picture of what's going on with that specific issue. This is your chance to make those corrections before they go to commission for hearing. Again, this is going to be more robust than the completeness review has been in the past. We would like you to be very careful, again, to cross-check your application for consistencies. If you change one plan, maybe you need to change other plans for better alignment. Again, please perform that QA/QC. This is your application. We want to make sure that we can get it through, but we need that to be completed. This will be, once that is finished, we'll return the spreadsheet to lead OGLA, and you'll resubmit all necessary forms and hearing applications. This is also a chance, if you disagree with one of our statements, you can put that in the applicant response section and tell us your reason. This will be for the record. This helps document conversation between us and you across those various issues, even those ones that we might disagree on, which is totally fine. We just want to make sure that we have all of those noted on that spreadsheet. Next slide, Hannah. All right, so once we get this resubmitted, we'll review your responses in the spreadsheet, all of the updated forms, data fields, plans, attachments, and hearing applications, and determine if we can pass completeness on your application. This is hopefully the stage where everything is correct. We are not trying to ask for anything past this stage. This is also, once the applicant has adequately addressed all of these concerns, we're really, again, no further data upload should be necessary other than maybe that public comment or formal consultation. This is, again, one of our goals to minimize that back and forth email chain. And so making those good corrections on the front side is going to be faster and more efficient for you and for us as well. So it is your responsibility to adequately address our concerns on that spreadsheet and in the application. If you don't agree with it, you're more than welcome to highlight that, but please make sure that you have a response for us. And so we can add that to the record as well. For those issues that maybe don't demonstrate compliance with our rules, there's going to be a chance that Form 2C may be denied and the application will be withdrawn, just to make sure that you're aware of that. Again, I've already highlighted this, but for those non-rule-based issues, we may flag those in the director's recommendation for the consideration by commissioners, including possible recommendation of denial. So again, that's going to be your response on the spreadsheet is going to be important for those disagreement items. And next slide, Hannah. All right, so once we have reviewed and deemed operator responses and corrections adequate, we will pass that completion. We will attach the completeness spreadsheet to the Form 2A and document the changes, and also what our responses are to those changes. We'll approve the 2C, and then we'll move the 2A and 2B into process. We do want to highlight that if significant changes to the application after passing completeness are done, that may require a renotice and change the time frame. The timeframes are outlined there for the hearing units in the publish of notice of hearing, and then the public comment and consultation periods as well. Next slide, Hannah. So director's recommendation and hearing and final agency decision. After we have passed completeness, we will begin drafting the director's recommendation, and we'll include any pertinent information from those public comments or required consultations, and potentially what you have listed in your applicant response. We may require for you to reach out and require a response to any type of public comment or consultation requiring so, and attach it to the 2A, which we will help with. And then we will try to get that DR published no later than 2 weeks prior to the hearing. And then really that the hearing and the final decision will stay the same process. No real changes based on our review process here. Again, that's just kind of the normal one. And I think that's about it. Hannah, next slide. In questions, please, as Hannah indicated, put them in the chat and we'll do our best to provide an answer. And I know that we'll have some more information and details related to this process to come. So thank you all very much for that, and hope we can move forward with this enhanced process. We're excited about it as well.
Great, thank you, Ben. It's really forgot how to work with all slides. All right, next up, we've got financial assurance update, and Chris Eisinger will be presenting that.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning, everyone. For any of you who have just tuned in recently for the first time, just to introduce or reintroduce myself, I'm Chris Eisinger, and I oversee with my group the development and implementation of electronic forms, as well as the data that goes into those forms or the data that comes into them, comes in through them when you submit them. And what I just very quickly want to do, this should take less than 5 minutes, to give you a couple updates regarding financial assurance forms. The first is the Form 3A, which is an important form that will allow operators to provide additional financial assurance to us and allocate existing financial assurance under the new financial assurance rules. We are almost done with this. We are in the final stages of testing and tweaking. Our expectation is that next week, the middle of next week, we will be releasing this to the public. We are finishing internal testing as well as testing with a few operators. When we do that, there will be guidance documents or a guidance document to go with that form, as well as an announcement about it being available. And I expect that we will also have a special operator meeting on a Tuesday, potentially in a couple weeks, where we will go through that Form 3A for people if they want to get training outside of the guidance document. So that is coming very soon. And like I said, there'll be some announcements about it once it is available. The Form 6B is the other financial assurance form that we are just finishing up. The Form 6B is the out of service well report that is required of operators to provide us updates about the status of any wells they've put on their Form 6As. This is, I think nominally was due on April 30th or the beginning of April. I can't remember which the exact date is. And so we realize we are behind on that, but we'll have that available. And once it is available, which should be towards the end of this month, you will have a roughly 30-day window to work with that to submit your required Form 6Bs. Our engineering team, Diane McCoy, I believe will give a guidance presentation on the Form 6B at the next operator meeting in June. And there also should be some guidance to go with that as well. So that's really all I have, Hannah, as far as updates, and happy to answer any questions people might have. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Chris. And we'll go straight into the Q&A. The first question is, OGDP review comments provided in a timely manner. Realistically, when can applicant expect the comment spreadsheet after submittal?
Hi, Hannah. So the average completion time on our OGDPs to date have been approximately 90 days due to pushing forms back to draft, sometimes more than once. So we're realistically looking towards that 60 to 90 day window. However, we can't guarantee it's not a hard stop at 90, right? But that's our goal, and that's where we're really looking for. The quality of the application will definitely determine how long that it takes us to review. But this one and done, again, is hopefully going to alleviate those longer timeframes on that and really try to for us to hit that window of that 60 to 90 days.
Great, thank you, Ben. And I believe this next one is for you as well. After Form 2A, 2B, 2C submittal, when is the lead OGLA assigned, and will this be reflected in web forms?
Yeah, so we try to get the lead OGLA assigned within 1 week of receipt of that entire application. And again, the entire application, meaning full submittal. We have not been able to do this for the past few months just due to the volume of incoming applications and the current workload of staff, hence the hiring. But that is our goal moving forward. So generally, once an OGDP is approved by a commission in the 2A to be approved in web forms, the lead OGLA who just finished OGDP will be assigned to the next OGDP in the queue. So we try to kind of have that leapfrog and keep going. But again, the workload and the amount that we have right now is difficult. Each lead OGLA is currently working on about 4 to 8 applications at any time, as well as all those different forms, the 2s, the 4s, and the 6s. We have meetings and pre-apps. So again, we're a little limited on that bandwidth. We do appreciate all the patience that everyone has had with this in us and getting all the hiring going and trying this new enhanced process to really speed this up, or at least keep a consistent timeline for everybody. We are looking again to get our new people onboarded and up to speed, and also hiring some more. So we're really excited for the time to come. It's just know that we're struggling a little bit right now with some backlog.
Great, thank you, Ben. The next one I believe is for Chris B. The question is, can you confirm that cropland does not require a reference area or reference area photos? Thank you.
No, we do need reference area photos, and that is part of our rule requirement from 1004C1 that verifies that it meets 1003 requirements. So yeah, we need to make sure that the crop looks reflective of reference areas. So we do need that.
Great, thank you, Chris. And Chris Eisinger, I believe these next few are for you. Will you be granting extension for the Form 3A? Ours is due on 6/15 and the form still isn't available. We are unsure how long it will take to get the bond set up.
So I'll take these, Hannah. Couple of things just to make you aware. Obviously, we know we have not gotten the Form 3A out where it came out with the Form 3. We won't be doing any compliance reviews on the submission of the Form 3A, for at least 30 days after any due date has passed. That's our routine anyway for compliance checks. We typically give a 30-day sort of grace period before we start spending our enforcement resources to review compliance. And that's something that, that's completely within my purview to direct, and we won't be we won't be quick on the draw on this, obviously. The second thing is, as soon as you submit the 3A, then you have met the compliance date, right? It's not an approved 3A, it's a submitted 3A. So I would encourage you to just get the normal information associated with your financial assurance instruments. This is a very simple form to fill out. It's basically the reference number for your surety form, the surety provider, the amount, the reason for it, whether it's a plugging bond, a gas facility bond, right? I mean, it won't take very much effort or time to complete this 3A. It is the metadata associated with your bonds, and submission of that metadata is considered compliance with the 90-day requirement to submit your financial assurance. Once your 3A is submitted, you can mail in. We still have to process these bonds by hand, by mail in. The industry does not have a digital solution for us that we're comfortable with yet. We are working with industry to help try to encourage the development of a digital solution to bonding. But for now, that's still a paper process. So you would submit your Form 3A, which is just the metadata associated with your financial assurance instruments. You would then mail in your financial assurance instruments. Our team will then audit what you mailed in against what you filled in the Form 3A. If the audit shows that it's consistent and it agrees, then your Form 3A will be approved. And at that point, you'll be done. But the compliance deadline of 90 days is to Form 3A submission. It's not to Form 3A approval. So I'm not concerned about operators. It's easy for me to say I appreciate that as I hear myself say it, but I believe that operators will have no problems complying with the requirement to submit a Form 3A within 90 days of the date that their Form 3 was approved. And I appreciate that you won't have that same confidence until you see the 3A and actually do it. So that's my best response to that. And if you have a specific concern that you want to talk about, email me to set up an appointment. That's the easiest, that's the most effective way to communicate with me is by email.
Thank you, Scott. And I tried to just type your email in, so hopefully I spelled everything right. Let's see. Next question. I think you answered one of the other questions in there, so I'm going to skip that one. But if you need any clarification, just let me know. Financial assurance question: when filling a Form 3 with adjustments to the cost by the operator, this automatically gets a hearing scheduled. Are attorneys required to represent the company during the hearing?
So there are a number of things that require a hearing. If you request an option 5 plan, that requires a hearing. An option 6 plan requires a hearing. If you request to use alternative financial assurance, which is anything other than cash, surety bonds, or certificates of deposit, that request to use alternate financial assurance requires a hearing. If you are an option 3 or option 4 plan and you request an adjustment to your annual contribution, that requires a hearing. Basically, anything that requires a hearing will prompt you to enter a docket number in the Form 3 before it will allow you to submit it. So if you're getting a prompt to to enter a docket number, but your Form 3 won't let you submit it because it keeps prompting you that you need a docket number, then that's your cue that you've chosen something that requires a hearing. You need to enter the docket number for the hearing, which means you have had to have filed an application for a financial assurance hearing with the commission. Enter that docket number, hit submit. If you don't, your Form 3 will be returned to draft to say we need a valid docket number. If you are a corporation, the requirement for an attorney is the standard requirements regarding the type of entity you are. If you are if you have a domestic well, right, you're just a citizen, you are registered as an operator, and you have a domestic well, your representation for the hearing does not require an attorney. If you're a corporation, the rules of procedure require you to have an attorney to represent you in any quasi-adjudicated hearing before the commission. So that's probably my best answer to that.
So, and Hannah, to interrupt you, that question above wasn't answered. It was, how does an operator update their form? It says 3A. I believe that person actually was referring to a Form 3. But how does an operator update their Form 3 if the first draft was denied? And I will also defer to Scott if you can answer that.
Yeah, if your Form 3 was denied, then there probably was only one reason at this point, and that was because the director could not find adequate support for a request to use demonstrated costs as the foundation for your single well financial assurance, which was associated with your specific option. All of those denials, the director is taking before the commission so that you can have a forum to either contest the denial or to present your evidence regarding what kind of an option you would prefer to have. And so that will be before the commission. If your plan was denied and you submit a new Form 3 that the director can approve and does approve before your scheduled hearing date, then that hearing will be vacated. The form, the substitute Form 3, the new Form 3, if it gets approved before the hearing date, then that hearing date will be vacated. All of this should be being explained to you by the enforcement officers who are contacting you if your Form 3 was denied. I'd love to hear if you feel like that communication is not being clear. It's always good to have 360 input so that we can get better at our processes and make, we communicate in a way that we think is clear, but maybe it not always is. So if that's not clear to you, if your plan has been denied and your path forward has not been explained clearly, reach out to me, and I'll try to have us do a better job at that. But that's the path forward. If your form was denied, you can either submit a new Form 3, and if the director can approve that before your hearing date, then your form gets approved and you don't have to have a hearing. If you prefer to go to the hearing and argue your case. That's where we're trying to facilitate that forum, to do some of that lifting, to give you the opportunity to argue your case without having to do your own application, and also to facilitate the most effective path forward to getting financial assurance plans in place in compliance with the rules.
Thank you, Scott. And I just wanted to point out to folks that Chris Benches entered into the chat the rule regarding cropland reference photos is 1000.e.3. So you can refer to that for that previous question. The next question is, there is a new pre-application meeting request memo from COGCC. Does this apply to locations in unincorporated Weld County?
So this does not. Weld County has their own pre-application process or for those sites within Weld County, and we are just a part of those already, and so we will not be requiring any additional information for those sites that already require a WOGLA pre-application.
Great, thank you, Ben. The next question is option 3, adjusting the P&A and reclamation amounts. Submitted form 3 before prompting of docket number was required, was denied, now have hearing. Do we need an attorney for that hearing that was automatically scheduled? So if we are LLC, we must have an attorney, is what I heard from Scott. Thanks.
Yes, if you are registered with the Secretary of State with any kind of a corporation, you are required to have an attorney to represent that corporation in front of the commission.
Great, thank you, Scott.
And Hannah, I also think we skipped another question, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. There was a question, if calcs for company is 3 million, we must have 5% for bond, so we need 150K plugging bond. Scott, do you want to answer, or I can?
I guess if that's the math, right? If you have an approved option 3 plan, and your amount is 3 million, then 5% would be 150,000. That would be the first contribution that you would need to make within 90 days of that approved form 3. If I've understood the question correctly and I did the math in my head correctly.
Thanks, Scott. If there's any clarification, you can just drop that in the chat and we will answer it. I don't see anything else in the chat right now, so I'll just move on in my slide deck. Here are the next dates for the operator meeting throughout the rest of the year and up until next April. So the next one is on Tuesday, June 13th, and we usually do the second Tuesday of the month unless there's some wild thing happening, then we change it. And then if you would like to be added to the operator email list, please email me at that email address right there and I will add you to the list. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today and for asking all the great questions. We'll see you next month and hope you have a great day. Bye.